Hey guys, Trevor the Great here again with another Warmachine battle report. This is a bit of a casual game my buddy Brian and I played a couple weeks ago. This is his Khador list with Harkevich, so you probably recognize it from previous battle reports because probably most of my Warmachine Batreps have been with Brian's Khador, so nothing really new here. But this game we're just trying to get our head around 50 points. 50 points is becoming a little more common in our local game store, so we are trying to put together some 50-point lists and see how they work and see if we can figure out how to play them. So this is Darius versus Harkevich, two awesome jackcasters at 50 points, obviously. This game we played a couple weeks ago, so see if I can remember what happens in the game. I might not do a very good job at that, but we'll see how it goes. My opponent had in his list Harkevich, obviously, with the Behemoth, and a destroyer and a decimator in his battle group. He had P-Iris, not E-Iris, P-Iris, as well as 2 units of Man-O-Wars, a unit of Man-O-War Shock Troopers, and a unit of Demo Corps, and I think a max unit of Battle Mechanics as well. So I believe that's everything that was in his list. I hope I didn't forget anything. That would be really awkward. I'm running the Darius list that I ran at the tournament a couple weeks ago. So if you saw my tournament reports, you'll probably have seen this list a couple times. This is Darius with his Squire and his Halfjacks, the Thunderhead, a Cyclone, a Hammersmith, and a Stormclad in his battle group. He's got Arlen Strangeways hanging out to give him some awesome power boosting shenanigans. He's got a unit of Stormblades with their UA. He's got Reinhold hanging out with him, and a Journeyman Warcaster for some Arcane Shield stuff. And I think that is all. I hope that's all. That would be awkward if I forgot my own list. Just a quick note here, I had a microphone that I was using to record battle reports, but I think that broke, so I am just using the built-in microphone on my computer, so the audio quality might not be as good. So if my audio quality has suffered, then that would be why. Anywho, back to the game. We are playing the Steamroller Scenario Restoration. So that has a big rectangular objective zone in the middle, marked by those little tokens there in the center, and it has 2 restoration cache objectives in the center on each side. So those are objectives, and we need to have destroyed our opponents and controlled the zone to score a point, 3 points to win. And the objectives, if you control them with your Warcaster, then they can heal D3 damage points from friendly models within 4 inches, I believe. So they are pretty useful. As you can see, this is after deployment. I think my opponent went first in this game, so he was able to deploy first, and I put down all of my stuff. So I got the Thunderhead in the middle there. He's going to try to move up and just start lightning cannoning that my opponent's objective as quickly as possible. Cyclone's over there just to next to him, just to hang out and see if he can maybe put some covering fire down to protect from those shock troopers, but we'll see what happens. Hammersmith is sort of out in the wind and flapping. He doesn't really have a lot to do. I put the Stormclad on the right-hand side there to see if I could get some Electro Leaps off of my opponent's battle mechanics and just kill a couple of them right off the bat. But then my opponent AD'd Iris on the other side of the board, so I decided that I really needed the Stormclad on the other side of the board very quickly, so I decided that I was going to have to redeploy him in the beginning of the game. I got the Journeyman Warcaster behind the Hammersmith there. I think he's going to put Arc Shield onto the Thunderhead, sorry, but I don't remember exactly what he did during the game. And then obviously the Stormblade's hanging out with Stormclad, and Arlen somewhere in there next to Darius, I think, with Reinhold. So Darius's little cadre of buddies. Yeah, so my opponent's taking the first turn. Let's see how it goes. Okay, this is bottom of round 1. I don't have a photo of my opponent's army. I just took a photo of my army as I was moving up. But not a lot to say here, a lot of positioning and just running with everything. My opponent decided to run his destroyer right way off on my left-hand flank there. I'm not sure what he was trying to do there, but he's basically going to try to come in the side with the destroyer, put some shots down, maybe on Darius, and try to kill some of those support solos over there. He also moved his decimator in on the right-hand flank. Man-O-War is down the middle. Pretty much not a lot to say. Behemoth took some pot shots and didn't get good scatters, so wasn't able to do anything. In my turn, I just ran everything run up. So I ran with, well, everything. I got the half-jacks up there in the middle just to contest the zone just in case, and put some mines down in the center in future turns. Stormblades spread out a little bit across my whole zone because the Stormclad and the Thunderhead sort of switch places. I want the Stormclad to go over and Electroleap Iris and kill her, so we're going to see how that works out. And then everything else is just running forward and trying to get into the zone as quickly as possible and put pressure on my opponent's objective. Okay, here is the bottom of round 2. So again, my opponent in his turn just moved up, took some pot shots at things. I think he tried to fire at the Thunderhead with his Decimator, was out of range. And then the Behemoth and the Destroyer, I think, fired at the Stormblades, and either missed or weren't able to do damage with blast damage. I don't really exactly remember what happens, but Stormblades have good armor against blast damage, so they're pretty safe against the Bombards in that respect. So not a lot of damage was done there. In my turn, I moved everything up. I put a bunch of focus onto the Thunderhead. He moved up and put a bunch of boosted shots into my opponent's objective. Did a whole bunch of damage, something like 14 damage, something crazy like that, because two boosted POW 14s, I think, were able to do quite a bit of damage. As well as, I think Darius took a shot at it too, but I don't remember. There's a bunch of shooting going on. I took my Cyclone. I decided to run my Cyclone at Iris, and then activate the Stormclad, accumulate from the Stormblades, and boost a shot onto the the Cyclone, and Electroleap onto Iris and kill her. Did a couple points of damage to the Cyclone, but I think it was worth it, all in all. I could have gotten a Stormblade in there, but I don't think I was in range, and I didn't really feel it necessary to sacrifice any half-jacks at this point, because I could just bodge the Cyclone back up to full, and it would require me to remember less half-jack creation, because I always forget to create my half-jacks. I have Fortify put up onto the Thunderhead, just in case if my opponent's Decimator gets in there, he can't beat back the Thunderhead out of the zone. And then I have Arcane Shield onto the Stormclad, because that is one of the most important jacks in my army, so I want to keep it safe. And other than that, controlling my zone, shooting at my opponent's zone, and just doing as much damage as possible. Okay, so this is the bottom of turn 3. As you can see, my opponent's wall of Khador and Steel is continuing to roll up the board and just be really annoying. Harkevich popped his feet this turn, so this is my opponent's feet turn. He got a bunch of shots off with the Behemoth and the Destroyer, and I think he cast broadsides. So he just fired all bombard shots all over the place, but wasn't able to do too much damage. I think he got a couple hits off on the Thunderhead, I think. Did a couple points of damage. But I had Fortify on the Thunderhead, so he was pretty safe from that. And then he got a couple shots off onto the what do you call it? The Cyclone with the Destroyer. So after he did that and popped his feet and cast broadsides, he charged in with the Destroyer onto the Cyclone and did a couple points of damage with his axe, his big axe thingy. And then the Decimator charged into Thunderhead. Now Thunderhead is the blank base on the hill there, because the hill's so awkward and Thunderhead's so big and top heavy that he would fall off if I put him on there. So he's just standing for a blank base, which almost screwed me in my turn, as you will see. The Decimator was just half inch out of range though, so he wasn't able to do any damage, and I think was pretty much my opponent's turn. Now, obviously, my opponent has popped his feet. His jacks are armor 23, 24, so I can't really do anything to them with trying to kill them. So instead of focusing on doing damage to his jacks, I figured that I would focus on the objective and just try to kill his objective and take the scenario. Now, with that in mind, I allocated a bunch of focus to the Thunderhead. I allocated a couple points of focus to the Hammersmith and the Cyclone. And I started by activating a half-jack and bodging the Cyclone with it. And the Cyclone activated and boosted a double-handed throw onto the Destroyer and threw him out of Harkevich's control area, just to basically get him out of the game for a couple turns. Now, the Thunderhead activated. He moved away from the Decimator to try to clear a charge lane with the Hammersmith, and he fired at my opponent's objective and did a couple points of damage. The Stormclad activated, and I had moved up the Stormblades, and I think I assaulted the Decimator with a couple of them, did a couple points of damage, and then one of them ran up next to the Stormclad, so the Stormclad activated. He accumulated a focus, shot at the objective, and ended up killing it. So my opponent's objective is down at this point. What I really need to do is get that Decimator out of the zone. Now, I almost screwed myself here by forgetting that Thunderhead was not a wreck marker and was Thunderhead because he looks like a wreck marker. Even though I just activated him, I had a bit of a derp. So what I did was Darius moved up. He craned the Hammersmith up a little bit so he could get around the wreck marker with enough movement to get through it. Now, I was planning to move through the wreck marker, but I couldn't do that because it was not a wreck marker, it was my warjack. So I was almost out of range with the Hammersmith on to charging the decimator, and my opponent let me fudge the movement of the Stormblade a little bit because the Stormblade was a little bit back, and he let me fudge it. I really probably shouldn't have taken it because I'm trying to practice for a tournament game, but I felt so bad about it that I took his generosity anyway. I moved the Stormblade a little bit up and was able to get a charge lane off on the decimator with the Hammersmith. Now, after his beatback attacks, I beat back my opponent a couple inches, hit with all three of my attacks, including my chain attack, and then tried to smite my opponent out of the zone. I needed probably a 3 to get him completely out of it and not contesting, and I rolled a 1. So he only got smited 1 inch, wasn't able to get out of the zone, which is too bad, but I at least killed my opponent's objective and put him on the back foot, so we'll see how I can do in future turns. Okay, so this, I think I missed a turn here, so I think this is the bottom of turn 5 rather than turn 4, because I think we had a couple turns in here. I might be wrong, actually. This might actually be the bottom of turn 4. Don't remember off the top of my head. Again, this game was a couple weeks ago, so I don't remember. But I really did screw myself in this turn. What my opponent did was that he basically he decided that it wasn't very feasible for him just to contest the zone, and he tried to jam it up with all of his shock troopers, his man of wars. So they all charged in, yelling and screaming, and crying for the motherland, and were able to get in there, get a bunch of charges off, and do a whole bunch of damage to the Hammersmith. And I think he got a couple off on Thunderhead and a couple off onto the Stormclad. So yeah, that was not very nice. The Demolition Corps had to go around the side there, and I had actually no, I think this is turn 5 because I had to put down covering fire with the Cyclone to stop them from getting getting around there with unharmed. So this is turn 5. So in my turn, I decided that I needed to get these guys out of my face. Basically, I think the Decimator had moved up and just wrecked the Hammersmith after the damage had been done to it by the shock troopers. So the Hammersmith is dead. He has a wreck marker on the hill there. The other wreck marker on the hillside facing the camera is still Thunderhead. He's got the little fortify token on him, so I hopefully don't remember that don't forget that he's Thunderhead again and think that he's a wreck marker. So if I can remember what I did here, this was a really bad turn for me just because I screwed up my order of activations. Now the Thunderhead had taken a bunch of damage from shooting. The Cyclone had taken a bunch of damage from the Destroyer, just continually shooting it, just randomly. And the Stormclad had taken a bunch of damage from the charge of the Man-O-War shock troopers. So I decided that this was going to be my feet turn. So in order to do that, I needed to get half-jacks into range of all of my warjacks. Now this is a little awkward because what else I wanted to do was move up with Thunderhead and Pulse in order to auto hit all of the Man-O-Wars there, and then just use his gun to be able to blow away as many as possible. So I needed to move the half-jack in after I pulsed, and then activate Darius afterwards. It was very confusing. So what I ended up doing was I think that I activated Darius way before I should have, and he took some pot shots at the Man-O-Wars, and I realized that I activated him before I moved all my half-jacks into place. So if he feated, he would only, I think, catch the Cyclone. So that was pretty bad of me. So I decided not to feat this turn. Now so that was mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 was that I activated Thunderhead too early, and I activated him before I'd moved all my support out of his post range, because I was really only looking at models in front of him, which were all immune to electricity. My Stormblades and the Stormclad and Arlen Strangeways are immune to electricity, so they wouldn't take any damage when he pulsed. But I had Reinhold and my Squire and I think 2 of my half-jacks behind him. So so when I pulsed, I moved up and I pulsed, and I killed all of them except for the Squire. I rolled really poorly on damage on the Squire, so he was okay. But everyone else died from the radiating electricity coming out of this warjack. So that was pretty silly of me as well. Um, but he was able to auto hit all of the man of wars and then fire his gun at them and automatically hit and kill a bunch of them with his giant lightning cannon. So after that, I activated these storm blades, and they were able to get a bunch of attacks off on the man of wars. And they also charged, a couple of them charged the decimator and did a whole bunch of damage to that. So the decimator was pretty much crippled at this point. So the combination of the Stormblades and the Thunderhead Pulse were able to do a bunch of damage to the Man of Wars and kill most of them. Now, I'd expected to have to put a bunch of focus onto the Stormclad in order to make attacks onto the Man of Wars, but I think I'd killed all of the Shock Troopers that were close to him, so I ended up just power boosting him with Arlen and then charging him into the Demo Core. So he swung at the Demo Core and killed a bunch of them, but I'd activated Covering Fire before I activated the Stormclad, so he ran into Covering Fire and took a bunch of damage from a really good roll on the Covering Fire, because I think his shield was out, so he took a bunch of damage from that. Okay, so this is the bottom of round 5. The last photo was the bottom of round 4. I figured it out, and I guess I'm a little more diligent at taking photos than I thought I was, so good for me. Again, this game was a couple weeks ago, so I don't remember exactly what happened all the time. So in this turn, I figured that I could get a control point because all my opponent had contesting the zone was the Decimator. He tried to move up the battle mechanics to repair the Decimator, but didn't have the movement. Other than that, he wrecked the Stormclad with the last Man of War Demolition Core dude, and took some pot shots with the Destroyer and the Behemoth, but wasn't able to really do anything. So in my turn, I put a bunch of focus onto the Thunderhead, and he moved up and just picked up and threw the big old Decimator. Actually, I think the Stormblades activated first. They did a couple points of damage to him, and then he got thrown into one of the battle mechanics and killed him. And then he was knocked down right next to Behemoth. So what I did after that was I took my trusty little Arlen Strangeways, and he moved up and he sprayed down both of those guys with his awesome little disruption gauntlet. That gets used way more often than I thought it would, because he's only Rat 5, but Defense 10 Khador Jax can get hit pretty easily by it. So he killed one of the battle mechanics with it, and he ended up disrupting both of the heavy warjacks over there, which was great for me. I don't think that Arlen's going to really do a lot of things in the future, so I was very happy that he could get one turn of disruption off on both of my opponent's remaining warjacks that we can really do anything. Obviously, the Destroyer is still there, but he's kind of out in the wind and flapping. And so I got a control point from there, and then just camp in the zone and seeing how long I can continue to just throw my opponent out of it. Okay, bottom of turn 6. This game is going forever. So I don't remember exactly what happened in this turn. A bunch of stuff died, so that's all I got. I think what happened was that my opponent moved up, and I think he contested the objective with something. He got something in there to contest the objective. I think it might have been the last Man of War. He ran in to contest the objective, contest the zone, so I couldn't score a point in his turn. And then basically moved up with the Behemoth and the Decimator, but he was disrupted, so he couldn't run into the zone to contest it. So he was a little bit out. In my turn, I retaliated. I bodged the Thunderhead a little bit. I might have defeated this turn just to get the Thunderhead up to full, but I don't remember. And I continued to fire my awesome lightning cannon at the Decimator and do a bunch of damage, and then charge in with the Stormblades and kill it. Obviously, the Stormclad is dead, so the Stormblades are not very useful. They've taken a bunch of casualties at this point, so they're just going to go in and sacrifice themselves to kill as much of the enemy as possible. So they ran in and killed the Decimator, which is very good. The Cyclone opened up on the Man of War, just lit him up and killed him. And then other than that, everybody just moved up into that zone. It's getting very tense at this point. I've scored my second control point on my turn, so all I need to do is score that third control point to win the game. But Behemoth's moving in, and he is a very scary prospect, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, so here's the bottom of turn 7. This game is going forever. Um, so what happened here is that the behemoth in my opponent's turn decided to take matters into his own rocket-powered fists and charge in at the Thunderhead after the battle mechanics. I think they got Fortune cast on them or something, and they went in and they just beat up all of the Stormblades pretty easily. There was a lot of them, and then Harkevich finished off the last one or two that the battle mechanics couldn't. So Behemoth charged in to um, the Thunderhead, and I think he didn't roll too well. I think he missed his first attack roll or something, and was only able to do a whole bunch of damage, um, and almost cripple the Thunderhead. But the Thunderhead was still there, which was still good, which meant I still had the chance to win the game. Now all I needed to do was get the Behemoth out of the zone because that was it. That's all I needed to do. Um, so in my turn, I moved up my half-jacks, I bodged the Thunderhead where it needed to be done, put a bunch of focus on the Thunderhead, boosted a double-handed throw onto Behemoth, and completely whiffed. It was terrible. I hit the boosted to hit roll because I needed not triple ones, which I got, and then I rolled really badly. I rolled I think like a 4 on my on the 2d6 strength test, and my opponent rolled like a 6, so he won the strength test, and I tested when I wasn't able to throw Behemoth, so that was too bad. So Thunderhead's pretty much going to die next turn. The Journeyman Warcaster put Arcane Shield onto Darius this turn, just to give him a little more protection. Darius moved into the zone to get, I think he got some shots off onto the Destroyer. Moved up a half-jack to block the Destroyer's charge lane, and moved the Cyclone into the zone to just have one more thing contesting it. So I moved up some more half-jacks to block the Behemoth's charge lane off Darius. I was fairly sure that he didn't have a way of charging because he had to kill the Thunderhead before he charged into Darius. So I was pretty safe from the Thunderhead from the Behemoth at this point. But the Thunderhead not being able to throw Behemoth out of the zone was really bad and might lose me the game because I really need to just get him out of the zone, and it's not working out so far. So we will see how it goes. Okay, so this is the bottom of my opponent's round 8. Wow, this game went a long time. Um, and basically, what he's done is it's pretty obvious. Moved up the destroyer to get closer to the zone. I don't think he's in the zone at this point, but he's closer. He moved up the battle mechanics. They ran to get closer to the destroyer. I don't think they are. They were able to repair it at all, but they just moved up closer to it. The behemoth obviously punched Thunderhead in the face with his rocket-powered fist and killed him dead, which was very sad for Thunderhead. Poor old Thunderhead. But he wasn't able, because he needed to do that damage to the Thunderhead before he did anything else, he wasn't able to charge Darius. Darius is safe, and he's just hanging out and hoping he doesn't get killed by Behemoth's rocket-powered fists. Okay, this is my turn 8. Holy crap. Basically, just moved Darius out of threat range of Behemoth, moved up some half-jacks to try to block some charge lanes. Behemoth's got Pathfinder, so he doesn't care about the wreck marker in front of him. Actually, wreck markers, that's actually both the Hammersmith and the Thunderhead's wreck marker, because they were on top of each other. So, I think we were running out of wreck markers at this point. We had 4 out on the table. So, yeah, did that. Blocked the tried to block the Destroyer's charge lane with another half-jack. I didn't have enough small base models to do it though, and then fired at the battle mechanics with the Cyclone and killed them all pretty easily, which was very, very handy. Just get them out of the way and continue on. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, this is the bottom of round 9. Holy crap, this game is going on for friggin' ever. What's happened here is that my opponent charged in to the Cyclone with Behemoth. Now, Behemoth is not actually where the model is. Behemoth is next to the Cyclone. There's another base there to represent where the Behemoth is, because again, we're not putting those heavy models onto the hill. That hill is actually probably way more difficulty than it is worth, and we kind of regretted putting it in the middle of the table there, just because we had to put so many jacks on it and they kept falling over. It was terrible. So the Behemoth is actually marking another wreck marker that Harkevich is hiding behind right now. So Behemoth and the Destroyer ran up into Cyclone, did a bunch of damage. Wasn't able to kill him. He did get, I think I feeded on him the other turn, so he was at full health. They weren't able to kill him, and it just didn't get enough damage off. I don't think the Cyclone was in Harkevich's control area, so he wasn't able to get, sorry, the Destroyer, so he wasn't able to get any focus to kill the Cyclone, so he was pretty pillow-fisted with his one swing. But the Behemoth didn't kill it, which is pretty lucky for me. So in my turn, all I needed to do was throw Behemoth out of the zone and score my 3rd point and win the game. So I boosted my double-handed throw, need not triple ones, didn't get triple ones, and then again rolled horribly on my strength test, and my opponent rolled well, and he won again. So I wasn't able to throw Behemoth out of the zone. So just moved some of my solos and Darius behind the objective there, but now that Behemoth is going to kill the Cyclone, and I don't really have any way of killing Harkevich, so it's going to be a chase down Darius with Behemoth game. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so this is going to be the last photo of the game. I think this is the bottom of the next round and the round after. But either way, it doesn't really matter. The Cyclone got annihilated by the rocket-powered fists on Behemoth, and Behemoth turned around and went like, ooh, a Warcaster, and just hunted down Darius. Darius actually, I think, charged Behemoth at one point and did a bunch of damage, but I actually rolled really badly on my damage rolls and was only able to do 6 or 7 points of damage total to him with my awesome PAL 15 Quake Hammer. So even then, dice -6, I was able to swing a bunch at him, but not able to do a lot of damage. I was hoping maybe I'd cripple one system, maybe his Cortex. That would be nice, but no, not gonna happen. So Darius got rocket-powered fisted in the face and annihilated and pulverized in every possible way imaginable and died horribly. So that's how that goes. But great game to my opponent. It was back and forth there the whole game. I thought I was going to win with 2 points, 2 control points, and 2 chances to throw Behemoth out of the zone. But I think a compilation of bad luck and me screwing myself over that one round, activating everything in the wrong order, and killing a bunch of my own solos with Thunderhead, which was pretty dumb. But I think I had a pretty good chance of winning the game if I hadn't done that thing. So great game to my opponent. This is a great chance to perfect my Darius technique. I think I just need to learn how to use Thunderhead correctly. A lot of my losses tend to be because of order of activation problems. So I really need to figure out the order of activation with Darius. I think it is very, very important that I activate Darius in the correct order, because he has basically 4 models running around the battlefield, especially on his feet turn. He does need to get those half-jacks into position before he feats, and before he does a lot of things, and before my jacks do a lot of things, or after. Sometimes I'm able to take free strikes with jacks and then repair the systems afterwards with the half-jack. Darius is a very finesse caster, I think. You wouldn't get it by looking at his his abilities, but I think that he does require a lot of finesse. So I'm going to try to work on him as much as possible and get better with him. I think he's a great caster and I have a lot of fun with him. So I'm just going to play more and see how I go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this battle report. Another Darius versus Harkevich battle report. Sorry for getting you guys so many matches that are very similar, but this one was so good that I think I just felt like I had to report it. So sorry for it being so long. I had a lot of things to talk about. So please stay tuned. I have a couple more tournaments coming up, 50-point tournaments coming up over the next couple of weeks. I am pretty busy other than that, so I don't know how many reports I'm going to get out, but I do have 2 50-point tournaments coming up in the next 2 weeks, and then I have a Journeyman League starting next month at my local game store that I'm actually running, so we'll see how that goes. I'll get you guys some awesome reports from that, so stay tuned.